Hello, welcome back to the TFI Global. In a world where your private messages are no longer private, where every word, every photo, every emoji could be scanned by bureaucrats sitting in Brussels, one German politician is standing up and saying enough. Her name is Alice Weidel, co chair of Germany's Alternative for Germany, AFD party. And today, she's calling out what she calls one of the most dangerous laws in European history, the EU's so called chat control regulation. In her words, it's an absolutely totalitarian project. The Stasi could only dream of such power. The European Union claims this regulation is designed to protect children from online abuse. That sounds noble until you look deeper. Under the Regulation to Prevent and Combat Child Sexual Abuse, also known as CSAR, every private message you send on WhatsApp, Signal, iMessage, or email could be scanned, analyzed, and flagged by algorithms. They call it client side scanning. But let's be honest, it's digital surveillance. It happens before encryption, right on your device. That means your phone, your computer, becomes the government's spy tool. For Weidel, this isn't about protecting children, it's about control. It's about the EU treating every citizen as a suspect, every conversation as a potential crime scene. Think about it. Germany still bears scars from surveillance from the days of the East Germany Stasi, when citizens were watched, recorded, and punished for what they said in private. Now, decades later, the European Commission, led by Ursula von der Leyen, wants to resurrect the same system, but with modern tools, AI algorithms, and backdoors into encrypted apps. Alice Weidel is sounding the alarm, and she's not alone. Privacy advocates, tech experts, and even companies like Signal and Apple have warned that this law will destroy end to end encryption, the very thing that keeps your conversations safe. Signal has even threatened to pull out of the EU altogether if the law is passed. That's how serious this is. But here's the catch: Brussels is pushing this through very fast. The Danish EU presidency wants it adopted by mid October 2025, just days away. Only six countries, Austria, Belgium, the Czech Republic, Finland, the Netherlands, and Poland, have stood up and said no. The rest, either silent or complicit. The European Data Protection Supervisor itself has warned that the bill violates Article 7 and 8 of the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights, which guarantee privacy and data protection. But Brussels doesn't seem to care. To Weidel, this is the proof that EU has turned it into what she calls a digital dictatorship, a place where unelected elites decide what citizens can say, share, or even think. Wiedel's response is crystal clear. Germany deserves a sovereign Europe, not a bureaucratic empire. In her words, we want a strong Europe, but not an EU dictatorship, not a Europe run by elected technocrats like Ursula von der Leyen. Von der Leyen, re-elected as Commission President despite numerous scandals from secret COVID vaccine deals to failed green industrial policies, has become, for Weidel, the symbol for everything wrong with Brussels. She represents unaccountable power. She wasn't chosen by the people. She answers to no one. And yet she presides over policies that strip away national sovereignty, push migration chaos, and now invade personal privacy. For Weidel, this is no longer a question of left or right. It is a question of freedom versus control. Alice Weidel's journey itself is remarkable. A former Goldman Sachs economist, fluent in the language of finance, yet unafraid to challenge global elites. She's not the stereotyped populist firebrand. She's polished, articulate, and data driven, a modern face of German conservatism. Under her leadership, the AfD has surged to become Germany's largest party. Her message is resonating, especially with younger voters, because it's simple: defend your rights, defend your nation, and defend your privacy. And it's not just all talk. The AfD has consistently opposed the EU's Digital Services Act, warning that it's being used to silence dissent online. Now, with chat control, Weidel is drawing a line in the sand. If we lose digital freedom, we lose all freedom. The AfD stance is not isolationism, it's sovereignty. Weidel envisions a Europe where nations cooperate as equals, not as vassals of a centralized authority. A Europe that guards its borders, its energy, and most importantly, its citizens' right to privacy. And while the EU elites push surveillance in the name of safety, Weidel reminds Germans of a timeless truth. Security without freedom is just another kind of prison. In the coming weeks, as the EU Council prepares to vote, this debate isn't just about technology, it's about the future of liberty in Europe. So, will Europeans choose freedom or fear? Will they protect their right to speak, to message, to live without being watched? For Alice Weidel and the EFD, the choice is clear: a sovereign Europe, a free Germany, and a digital future without surveillance. Because privacy isn't a privilege, it's a right worth fighting for. Thanks for watching.